What a performance from Max Verstappen, a record-breaking performance. Max taking a lights-to-flag victory here in Mexico City, and Red Bull having a phenomenal afternoon with Sergio Perez also on the podium to the home crowd's delight. Hello and welcome to your F1 Live post-race show with me, Rosanna Tennant, and joining me in the paddock to talk through everything we've just seen is Nick de Vries and former IndyCar driver James Hinchcliffe. Nick, I don't know how to really describe you at the moment, but we'll get on to that, I'm sure.
A rainbow.
A bit of everything. Yeah. Great to have you on the show. Now, a year ago, we saw exactly the same podium. A lot has changed since then, but did you enjoy this afternoon's race to get us where we are right now?
I think the whole event has been great. Obviously, the fans have been very exciting, and Mexico City is just a very cool place to be. I think the race wasn't very exciting, but towards the end of the race, I guess around top 10, it was becoming a little bit more interesting, especially with Danny Rick having to pull off his penalty. So towards the end, they got a bit better.
Absolutely, Daniel Ricciardo taking driver of the day, and James, you were calling the shots, the moves this afternoon. 14 victories in a season with 2 still to go. As a driver, how impressive is Max Verstappen to you right now?
I mean, it's really tough to put into words, isn't it? I mean, that level of domination is such a tough thing to do. It's such a rare thing to come by in Formula One, to have a car that's capable of it, a team that's capable of it, a driver that's capable of it. It really is impressive. He still has, I think he has to win the next 2 if he wants to beat Schumacher's record for percentage-wise, because obviously there's more races in this season now than there ever was. But man, you cannot do anything but give Max and the team so much credit for what they've done this year.
Incredible.
I'm so jealous I'm not American. I mean, the amount of words
I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian.
I'll let you two battle out that one.
Not.
Well, I welcome our first guest. Hello. Another great accent over here as well. Esteban.
All good?
Very good, thank you. Look, P8 for you guys today. Do you feel you maximised everything, or was there a little bit more there for you guys
I think
today?
a little bit of a damage limitation today. I think we had a good start. We had a great pit stop, some good overtakes as well. We pushed very hard, but obviously we lost Fernando. We're on for a double points finish today. And I had to manage a lot of cooling issues today, which is why we lost out also to Daniel in the end. So I couldn't push hard. I had to lift and coast the whole way. So a tricky one.
I liked your battle with Valtteri Bottas,
yeah, it was
though. You
good
gave
fun.
us something to enjoy. I liked it.
It was good fun. It was definitely, I knew I had, my tires warm at the time. I knew I had a shot, and I took it, so we gained 1 more position, obviously.
Now we've got 2 more races left to run. How do those tracks sound to you? Brazil and Abu Dhabi, different sort of challenges in themselves, and that battle between you guys and McLaren rages on. How do you rate your chances?
Yeah, obviously they outscored us today, but the last 2 races, I think we had good pace last year with the car. This car should be superior to what we had last year. So yeah, it's going to be a big push until the end, because we are very close on points, and everything's going to count from now on.
A little bit tired after today's race? Was it hard out there with the altitude?
I could go and make another one.
Oh, such a tough talker. Such a tough talker.
Yeah, effectively,
you could also,
Monza,
man. You are the fittest guy, I know.
The fittest guy.
Yeah.
In Monza, I couldn't even get out of the car.
You need to remove your t-shirt, show everyone.
Yeah. Someone help me.
Yeah, crying. But this one is a bit easier, right?
No, I mean, you can't breathe too well.
A little bit from the downforce side,
Yeah.
there are not a lot of G's. And
obviously, yeah. Well, I mean, you will see next year.
Yeah. Not here.
I love that video of you. It was so classic. Esteban, well done. P8,
Thank you.
And we will see you in Brazil in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you so much. Yeah, that video of you just cracks me up.
A little embarrassing. Thank you, Rosa.
Isn't the internet a beautiful?
Before the show, but,
Isn't the internet a beautiful thing? It's just, it's always going to be out there. It's terrible.
What a great moment, though. Amazing, amazing.
Cheers.
Look, I couldn't do one lap. That battle was great, though, between Esteban and Valtteri. And Valtteri had a tricky start, didn't he? Sort of fell away through the order a little bit. But how did you rate his performance today, guys? Especially battling with Esteban. I think we might be able to see it down here. No, haven't put enough money in my meter. So we are just going to remember how much we loved it.
I think the start was a bit unfortunate because he was just on the inside, and he obviously got done by the people behind him who chose the outside line with more momentum and more slipstream. So I think, considering the start, he couldn't really have done much different. But considering their pace yesterday, I did expect them to be a little bit quicker today. in the race.
And I think Joe really helped Valtteri Bottas today, didn't he? Trying to hold up the Alpines to give his teammate the best possible chance.
Yeah, I mean, he's driving his own race at the same time, but certainly it didn't hurt Bottas' chances there. And I still think it's great. I mean, the pace that we've seen, the increase in pace we've seen out of them the last 2 weeks is great. It bodes very well for the next couple rounds as well. And, you know, everyone's in that midfield is sort of locked in a tight Constructors' Championship battle, so every point counts. It's a track he likes, but, you know, great credit to him as he walks by behind you there.
I think he was going to come and join us, but maybe he's heard that I'm just sort of splashing out hate left, right and centre, and he didn't want to come and be grilled by me. But yeah, hopefully the next couple of races.
The points deficit with Aston now? Because Aston obviously didn't score at all.
These are two technical questions you're asking me at this stage,
well,
Nick.
I'm looking at all your notes.
I know, but I don't have how many points. But hey, look, what I do have is Jamie Chadwick. Nick asked the question again. What would you like to know?
Do you know the points deficit between Aston and Alpha?
No, I don't.
But let's introduce
I'm not good for anything.
I should know.
Probably, of course, with the Williams team this weekend. We were just discussing, whilst it perhaps didn't have the sort of fireworks and pizzazz the race, really interesting race nonetheless, with lots of battles. 4 points between Alfa and Aston. I just did the maths while asking you the question.
Yeah, right.
It just came to her.
It was an interesting race, wasn't it?
I think so, and also strategically, you still didn't really know what was going to happen at the end. I was wondering if Red Bull were going to make another stop. They managed to make the mediums last, so it did definitely make for interesting racing. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that battle a bit closer, but still, I think it was still a good race.
And I think the strategy was so difficult for the teams because they hadn't done much running on that medium tyre, and perhaps that was why Mercedes weren't too sure when to get rid of it and when to go onto that hard.
I know, we saw Ricciardo, I think, make it last a long time, and then after that, I think that was kind of the key in the rest of the race, that Red Bull, worst case scenario, they probably could have bolted the softs on and maybe even gained the position on track. But yeah, at the same time, it was an interesting race between the tyres because unlike normal, I don't feel like there was a massive difference between the compounds. But yeah, it was still a very good race to watch.
Were you surprised that Max was able to go to the end? How long before the end were you thinking, hang on, he's got to still come back in, surely?
I think he had it managed. I mean, virtual safety car could have helped him if he was really struggling, but I think he seemed to have it covered even on the mediums. He didn't look like he was pushing too hard sort of in that final phase of the race, which was key.
So in control of everything, wasn't he? When you mentioned the virtual safety car, I was surprised that George Russell didn't come in to pit and left it a little longer.
So was George Russell.
Yes, yes. That was a strange call. I guess you would have felt the same, perhaps, as a driver.
I think when you're in that no man's land, you always expect to do something or try something. So I'm surprised they didn't at least go for it. But at the same time, solid points for the team. They didn't, I guess, need to take the risk.
No, absolutely.
If they would have done it earlier, they would have given later the opportunity to, obviously, Red Bull to do the same stop and give the fastest lap away. So it kind of made sense to wait till the end.
Otherwise, we'd have had a duel between all of them. There we go.
It's almost like you were on the radio and knew what they were thinking.
I wasn't actually. I was just chatting in hospitality, but I just made it up.
Well, we like it nonetheless. Okay. Let's hear from George Russell now talking to Lawrence Barretto in the media pen.
George, judging by where you started, I know you're not going to be happy with the result, but I guess there were opportunities today, and I guess frustrating that you didn't take them.
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating. I think I made a good start, but Lewis was there on the inside, and I was probably a little bit too cautious there. Obviously, my teammate, and ultimately that probably cost me 2 positions today because I would have ended up in second, and things would have been different maybe, but nevertheless really happy that we're making a lot of progress as a team, especially when you look at it compared to Ferrari. Really impressive our performance that we're bringing week in, week out. Red Bull is still in a league of their own, and credit to them, but perhaps today if we was on the same strategy as them we would have been a lot closer. So again, a positive to take away.
We heard you pushing for the soft on radio. You wanted to go long, you wanted to go for it. Do you reckon in hindsight that was the better way to go?
I think in hindsight starting on the soft and going to the medium was the right thing to do. Starting on the medium and going to the soft, I think it was a bit more difficult because my medium was already quite damaged from the early couple of laps. So we need to understand why Ferrari and Red Bull opted to start on that soft, and we didn't think that was the right thing to do. As I said, I'm really pleased with the progress we're making.
Great to see you back in the mix. Thanks.
Thank you.
P4 for George Russell, and frustration, I think, for him that he wasn't brought in and was able to battle harder. But as Nick says, it was actually quite sensible because it meant that it restricted Red Bull's potential to take that fastest lap point. Am I right?
That's what I think, yeah. I wasn't paying enough attention, but yeah.
I want to turn our attention now to AlphaTauri, of course, your future team. Pierre Gasly picking up a penalty out there, 5-second penalty plus some driver penalty points, and we've just been thrashing out the dates and the expiry date of those points. And he got his first points this year in May. So now he's got 11 points. He's 1 point away from a race ban. What does he do? Just drive very, very carefully and slowly for the next 2 races?
I mean, I don't think any Formula One driver ever goes into a race with that mentality. But yeah, he's got to wait all the way until May next year, basically the first third of the season. He's got to be very, very careful. It's wild to think because I don't think of Pierre Gasly as like an ultra aggressive, risk-taking driver. It's shocking to me that he's already accumulated that many points.
And we are just waiting for confirmation that it is 2 penalty points. So just get my little caveat in there.
Wasn't it 2 years ago that Lewis was very much on the edge of hitting the 12 penalty points before the end of the season as well? I personally think they have to revise the penalty system because I don't think Pierre deserves that, and it's just not right.
Well
Me,
said.
personally.
Next year, we're going to have him say that. Yeah, is that because you're AlphaTauri next year, or is that because you're an F1 driver
I just
next
like
year?
Pierre.
I agree. And I'm not driving for
Thank you.
AlphaTauri
All
next
in
year.
favour,
Thank you.
I say aye.
I like you.
AlphaTauri, well, Pierre Gasly just out of the points in P11, and of course Yuki Tsunoda with that contact. What did you make of that pass? And of course Daniel Ricciardo going on to become driver of the day, finishing P7, Yuki with a punctured side pod. Was the move right, Amy?
I quite like the move, to be honest. It was a bit punchy, but yeah, I think it was worthy of a penalty that he got, but at the same time, I'm glad it wasn't such a penalty that put him out of the points, because I thought he deserved the points, and I like moves like that when, it's not a DRS pass, he put his nose in. And,
Okay, so let me ask this then. Did he get any penalty points? Because it seems weird that Pierre pushes a guy a little wide and everybody keeps going on and gets 2 penalty points.
Good question.
Daniel takes a guy out of the race, essentially. I mean, it is
I think
what it
he
is.
must get, if it's
You'd
like a
think
5-second
so.
penalty aligns with 2 points,
Yeah,
I don't
he
know,
got
it
the
must
10-second
be.
penalty, but I don't remember hearing anything about penalty points on that one. I would hope, not that I wish points on driver, but if Pierre got him, you'd think Daniel would have got him too, right?
We will put a little request in to find that out and keep you posted during the
I'm
show.
sure it'll pop in your mind.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
You just,
It's
you'll
amazing.
remember.
It's amazing how my slow brain works, all on its own. Yes, an interesting one, but you like the move.
I mean, I say that, it was
Good to
risky, but I like the fact
Risky,
that
but you kind of put the other person in such position that he is the only one to avoid a collision, and I don't
Exactly.
think he was just not enough alongside him. In my opinion, the penalty was deserved. Danny did a great race and he deserved his points, but Yuki didn't deserve that.
I agree.
Well,
Spot on.
lots to
Cheers.
discuss, and maybe we'll find out
We
whether
agree.
there are.
We get along very well.
We can get on this side.
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't
just,
know. I don't know
Well,
what's
we don't
right or
mind.
wrong.
We'll draw a line
We
here.
do.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing, I'm sitting on the fence on everything.
Jamie, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I think we do like seeing nice racy moves. It keeps it exciting. When will we see you next? Are you going to be in Brazil? Are you going to be in Abu Dhabi?
Possibly Abu Dhabi for the end of the year. My season's done, but yeah, full
And
focus
any
now next
information
year.
about what we're expecting to see you in next?
Not yet. I mean, there's a good chance it might be over in this side of the world. I'll give that away, but yeah, nothing confirmed yet.
Well, fingers crossed from all of us, and we can't wait to hear. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening here in Mexico. Are you heading to the party in Forest
No, I'm going to get in a
We're
plane.
going to look
Out
at
there.
Yuki very soon.
Okay, we'll let you go, Jamie. Thank you so much. Yes, take all your special things. We don't want you getting locked out of the paddock. I do like it though how you can have 3 drivers with some similar viewpoints, some different viewpoints on what's kind of good, bad, ugly out on track. I think that is what makes it fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always hard to judge from the kind of the stewards rule because they have exactly that debate, and it's far from black and white, and it's never really clear. So they are clearly in a difficult position.
Yeah, and we'll keep you posted, as I say, on any penalty points pending. So Yuki Tsunoda, one of our retirements today after that contact with Daniel Ricciardo, and then Fernando Alonso as well, also out. It's sort of a little bit of sort of warning of the retirement coming, and then obviously pulling off with that engine problem. But let's hear from our first retirement of the day then. It's Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. Let's hear what he's been saying.
Yuki, I'm really sorry to see you out here. Just give me your view of that moment with Daniel.
Yeah, it's so shame, but until then it was super good. Managed well, especially first thing soft tire and good positions, and yeah, it's just so shocking how he overtake. Like yeah, almost impossible, and he just sent it in the front wing and just had a damage. I don't know if he had damage, but yeah, it's pretty shocking what I had, and it's so frustrating.
Up until that point, do you think you had a car that was capable of getting for points today?
Well, still it will be a bit difficult, but I think it will be close, you know. So yeah, such a shame.
New event. I love it.
Yuki Tsunoda thinking it was shocking, that move. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of debate about whether it was good or bad. Meanwhile, what a guest we have. Good afternoon, good evening. Are you feeling okay? You look malnourished.
Well, I'm dead, but I try to look good always. And being here in Mexico in Formula One with all of you, it's a great pleasure. So, feel very good.
It's a privilege to have you on our show.
Thank you.
Are you a fan of a driver in particular?
Oh, well, come on. It's obvious, right? Checo.
Yeah.
Of course. What's your name?
My name is Fermin Lacalaca. You can call me Fermin.
Fermin Lacalaca.
Fermin.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very
Pleasure.
nice to meet you. Where were you watching the race from?
Oh, wow.
Were you everywhere?
I got to go to the garage with Alfa Romeo. Got to see a little, pit stop. Got to do different things. Got to see it in the media center. Go here. Everywhere. I'm everywhere.
You are
Yes.
everywhere. I love it. And where are you heading off to next?
I'll probably be taking a helicopter and going to Puerto Vallarta, have some vacation.
Oh wow,
That'd be
fancy.
good, yes.
Fancy.
It pays to be dead, as it
Yeah.
turns out.
Yeah,
You.
it's
What
great.
about the party?
What?
What about the party and the tequila?
Oh, well, that's already waiting for me right now.
Okay.
Do you
with the
feel it?
placas.
I guess you don't even get a hangover.
On the show.
Not really. You don't get it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tends to be very smooth.
Another
you know?
positive
Very
about
at
being
ease.
dead. Tequila through the eye socket?
I
or the
prefer to live.
You know, the problem is when I want to smoke cigar, my cohiba on the beach, and then it comes out of my skull. So it's
Through every
complicated.
orifice.
No lungs.
How interesting. Well, we're going to talk about McLaren now as well. Have you seen McLaren up close today? Have you been in their garage?
Not yet, but I probably will stop by.
Oh, well, Daniel Ricciardo, driver of the day. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of drama happening, I mean, really everyone is just amazing. I can't really have any favoritism with anyone,
I'm just totally...
You are political correct. You're
Yeah.
that. You can say what you want.
Yeah.
No one can shoot you or...
No one will shoot you, no problem. No, nothing like that. Well,
obviously-
obviously my favorite one is Checo, I have to support him. He's
gotta be
Mexicano, come on.
Checo. Gotta be.
But it's good.
Obviously, you're very, very busy today. What's the rest of the year looking like for you? Have you got your plans sorted for next year?
Yes, all the time. Usually, well, I'm an artist. I'm a painter, a sculptor, and I do this. I present myself to the world this way, right? So usually the rest of the time, I'll probably go to Dubai in December, do an auction there. After that, probably play with some fire. I set my hands on fire and do all kinds of things with that as well. And get some new tailored suits for next year. Very busy.
Very busy. Well, we must let you go because you need to start being busy. But I must just tell you before you leave, Pierre Gasly given 1 penalty point and Daniel Ricciardo given 2 penalty points. So
There you go.
big news.
It's complicated.
That'll
It
make
really
your teeth
is.
rattle.
It's complicated. It really is. You almost don't say anything. Let it just be. And
Thank you very much for
thank
being
you
on our
very
show.
much for having
It's
me.
been fantastic.
It's been a great
Fermin.
pleasure. See you
Likewise.
around.
Enjoy.
And
Give me a
to
little
the whole
knuckle
world,
duster.
Hey,
Yeah,
for the
I
whole
like
world,
it.
come to Mexico Grand Prix.
Who knew I
This
had
is the
so
best
many
place.
things up my sleeve for this? Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
very
Fermin.
much.
Have a lovely evening.
You too.
Happy Dia de los
Were you
Muertos.
afraid for the gloves? You just
I was
dead
afraid
hands?
about everything there, to
Yeah.
be quite honest.
He really fills out his clothing for somebody that's just a skeleton. I don't know how he does that.
He's obviously been enjoying the hospitality. Who knew? Well, look, there we go. Had it confirmed now. So 1 penalty point for Pierre Gasly and 2 for Daniel Ricciardo. So that kind of puts that argument and conundrum to bed.
They have nothing like that in IndyCar. Penalty points.
They do not.
No.
They do not. You can
They
just run
just
into whoever you
race.
want and
Yeah.
off you go.
But you were talking about, because obviously we chatted a lot about that with Lance Stroll and with Fernando Alonso last weekend. You guys do have a little bit about how you position your car on track and the no reactive, you've got to preempt.
Yeah, that's basically the definition of blocking in IndyCar is you cannot move in reaction to the car behind you. So if you have a car in your slipstream, they pull out first, you're stuck there. If you think they're going to pull out, you just have to make that defensive move first, and then it's all fine. Once they go, you got to hold your line. that's kind of where
basically Austin and Stroll and
Alonso.
Fernando.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just moved that little bit after Fernando, and that's why our rule exists like that, to avoid exactly that kind of deal.
Well, I'm really excited because following up Mr. Skeletor, we've got Daniel Ricciardo coming on the show hopefully in a
He
moment
must
or
be
two.
exciting.
Yeah, I hope I'm not breaking the whole 2 penalty point thing to him. That's always the worst job.
We won't
here.
talk about it.
No,
Yeah, let's leave it
we'll
out.
just brush
Leave
over
it
it
out.
perhaps. Oh, here we go. He is on the approach. He's on the approach.
Happy
He must
man
smelt the
today.
death.
He must be thrilled that even with that 10-second penalty, it didn't take him. He didn't lose a single
There are
spot
a lot
out
of
of
talking
it.
points. Feel free to chip in, guys.
For sure.
Driver of the
Hello.
day.
Congratulations,
Driver of the day, away, bud.
Yeah,
So driver
Cool.
of the day, big tick in the box there. P7, big
Thanks.
points, another tick in the box. And then 2 penalty points.
2 penalty
We were
points.
only talking about it.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to go there.
It's all good. I got 2 more races,
I was gonna
so
say, how many do you have on
it's
your
all
license,
good.
you know?
I don't know. I don't
All right,
care.
that means it's not a lot. If no one's been warning you about it, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a
Yeah.
race. Did you enjoy it?
I did. Like, of course, I wish that little collision didn't happen. But look, for sure, I'll take responsibility. I don't think it's 100% my fault. But look, they gave me 10 seconds and apparently 2 points, so more than enough. Yeah, it's actually on the replay now. It wasn't like I came fully locked up into him. I actually stayed on the apex.
We're watching it over the cameraman's head,
Yeah.
just in case you think we've lost
Anyway,
our mind.
look, 10 seconds is more than enough. So I'm glad to come through that and pull 10 on Ocon. I didn't think I would. So obviously I wish that didn't happen, but still I don't think it tarnishes what was a good day.
And those last few laps, you're so dialed in. Suddenly the
Yeah.
car, like really, you and it working really well together.
Yeah, it hasn't been very often, but it's nice to obviously get that feeling where you can lean on it and it responds, obviously the way you want. And we obviously went long on the medium to then fit us off. That was really good. George was close to me. I was like, if I got the blue flag to him, I probably would have fallen back into Ocon. So I was pushing like hell just to make sure he couldn't get within 1.5 seconds or something.
No, it's so great to watch. And I think as a weekend overall, do you leave Mexico feeling like you've kind of made a bit of a step on and feel good again?
Yeah, I do. I think it's Mexico. It's definitely Mexico. I think they called it Mexico already a few years ago. and
Mexico.
It's definitely Mexico.
Yeah.
I think he's won nearly every race here. So, but it's nice. Garrix is playing now as well. So it's a good Sunday. It's a good Sunday. Hasn't been enough of these, so I'll have a few spicy margaritas tonight.
I gotta ask one question. Did you go into the race with a plan on taking the mediums that far, or was that evolving as it went?
It was certainly in our. I mean, you go in with a few plans
Yeah.
for sure, but
A through F, whatever.
but it was in the top group, let's say, especially if we were on the tail end of the pack, like the medium pack, and especially if they pitted early, we're like, well, okay, there's no point just doing what they do. And I don't think I was the quickest guy on the medium, but I felt I had good tire management, so that allowed us to go long and attack at the end.
Pinch thinks people should buy you champagne.
I feel like Red Bull owes you
Yeah.
a beer at least, because I'm not sure they were thinking that was possible until you did it.
Oh, did they then follow suit?
Well, yeah, because they started on the softs, everyone kind of assuming they were going to do a two-stopper.
Yep.
When they put the mediums on, you made it to lap 45, whatever
Yeah.
it was, and that was exactly how many laps were going to be left when Max pitted, threw the mediums on, and made it work. So
Yeah.
I don't think they were thinking it until you did it.
You should probably take credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is half your
Go
win.
off on
If I could take some bonus as well, that would be good.
No, they're a bit strapped for cash.
Things are tough.
Yeah, things are tough. They can't afford another bottle of champers.
Cool.
Well, look, Daniel, fantastic afternoon,
Thanks.
I think. P7, and we'll meet again in Brazil. Looking forward
I
to
hope
it.
so. I hope so.
Do you like a caipirinha?
Yeah, I like everything. Yeah. I'm not an alcoholic, but pretty close.
Get it off your chest, mate. Go on.
All right. Cheers.
Thank you
Enjoy.
so much. Always good to
Great
see
job,
you.
bud. Great drive.
See ya. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, F1 World.
No, not yet, not yet.
Oh no, I'm saying like bye for today.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
sorry, I did not.
I think that's
No.
great. We can call it a day
You can
here.
come back
and you should
whenever,
go home.
okay?
Them that voted as well.
We
the
vote,
driver of the
everyone.
day. All right.
Yeah.
I should say thanks.
Thanks.
Gracias.
You're always welcome at this desk. You've always got a seat here. Daniel Ricciardo, always a pleasure to have on the show. Let's hear from his team boss now, though, Andreas Seidel, talking to Will Buxton somewhere out there in the craziness of the F1 paddock.
Andreas, what a drive from Daniel Ricciardo today, pulling off a strategy that I think a lot of people had thought about, but then maybe thought was slightly too risky to try it. He tried it, he pulled it off. Great run.
Yeah, no, very happy with the result today, especially for Daniel as well. great work from his side on track, but also in terms of the communication together with his engineer and the strategy team, pulling off that strategy, which of course was a risk because we didn't really know how long the soft tires will hold on. But they were holding on, and yeah, thanks to that he could do a great race, some great moves towards the end of the race, and still pulling the gap of the 10 seconds after his penalty was great to see, and yeah, gives him for sure great confidence now, also a motivation to go into these last 2 races with us, trying to fight for more points, which we need for the Constructors' Championship.
This is it, 2 races to go. It's still all to play for 4th in the Constructors. What have you got to do, what have you got to piece together in order to take that advantage into these last 2?
Well, I think we just need to do our job. We need to make sure we focus on ourselves, do clean weekends. And reliability will play an important role as well, as we have seen today. But I think we have the car, the team and 2 drivers that are ready to fight it out until the last lap in Abu Dhabi, and hopefully we come out on top of this battle.
Thanks so much.
Just wait a little bit.
What's the rush? We've got a very excitable Nick de Vries here. I can't decide what you're excited about, but
I'm staying for a little bit.
Well, thank goodness for that. Let's talk about the battle between McLaren and Alpine.
Yeah, no, we
You're good?
I mean,
Okay.
you lost your team member, so...
I know,
members,
it's
yeah.
lonely on this side. Yeah, this is fantastic. Everyone's just loving the way you guys are getting on screen, it's excellent. We need to talk about this Alpine-McLaren battle, though, because Alpine now 7 points ahead of McLaren. This is going to go down to the wire, I think. This battle, we've seen it before, haven't we, Alpine and McLaren? Who's your money on in terms of coming out on top? You can say, don't worry, by the way,
No,
Nick.
actually, you know what? I think we should write it down on a piece of paper.
I like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
And we shouldn't see it, and we should see if we're aligned again.
Okay. All right, here.
Okay, let's
I'm going
do
to write
that,
down my
and then-
phone.
Oh, yeah, we
Write
do
down
the
your
phone. We do the
Okay,
phone.
do it on the phone,
Nope,
okay.
Straight down.
And can you give me amount of points between the 2?
No. That's
too hard.
too detailed.
That's too
Oh,
hard.
come on!
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, I'm wrong.
Okay. So you're writing down who you think's going to be ahead. Okay, fine.
So on the
Okay,
count of
wait,
3,
oh, wait, I-
Well, now we're turning it over now.
each other the
Show
phone.
it to the TV.
Oh, to TV.
TV
Okay.
now.
And then,
okay,
yeah,
ready?
1,
On your count
2.
of 3, 2, 1. I need to look. Oh, you're both the same.
Ah, we are friends. We are friends.
You wrote McLaren first. I was spying over your shoulder, and then you changed your mind.
No, yeah, but it was. I don't know why I wrote McLaren, because I always thought Alpine was going to do it. but
Alpine. Okay.
Maybe because Danny was here.
Why,
and-
can I ask why?
Okay, so for me, there's kind of 2 different paths that they've taken to get to this point in the season. McLaren through consistency, Alpine through performance. There's no doubt the Alpine's a faster car, but the reliability issues, you saw them again today. How many points has Fernando lost over the season? Ocon the same thing. So I still think over the course of the next couple races, they've got the pace. I still think they're going to do it. McLaren had a better showing here than I think we've seen across the whole team at a lot of other events. So I still got to think Alpine's got the gap now. They've got the faster car. I still think they're going to pull it off.
And we heard Esteban Ocon thinking it could be a positive couple of races coming their way. So do you want to give your reason as well? Is that what you...
fully aligned. But a more interesting one is probably Aston and Alpha.
Yeah.
That one is a harder, because they are close. Aston is a bit more inconsistent. Harder shout.
Yeah, that is a harder one. I mean, the run that Alpha's been on the last 2 weeks, I say run, it's 2 races, but like still, they brought some upgrades to the US. They worked here, and this is a pretty unique track.
They didn't score points in Austin, though.
They should have.
Should have, but didn't.
They qualified well. Both
Yeah.
cars should have been in Q3,
Yeah.
right? Joe had that issue, and then obviously
the lap time
Valtteri
was
went off.
delayed, and yeah.
Right, and then Valtteri went off in the race. So the car performance is a little bit better. That one's going to be tight because Aston's really struggled the last couple races.
Of course, we've also got the battle between Ferrari and Mercedes now, 40 points between them. So a bit of a bigger gap, but it does look like Mercedes could potentially grab it. You're wearing the top. You can talk about
I'm
it.
going for it.
Yeah.
I believe in it. It's going to happen.
Do you reckon?
Oh, yes, it will.
I mean, comfortably outscoring the Ferraris today, Lewis in P2 and George in P4, and then Carlos and Charles just not able to get on terms with it, P5 and P6 respectively. Do you think the next 2 tracks are going to favour Mercedes more than Ferrari? And I know it's a very difficult car to read, the Mercedes.
I think this weekend was particularly tough for Ferrari, obviously because of the altitude, the turbo. Yeah, it just kind of hit them a little bit harder than the others. So I expect Ferrari to be back for the next 2 races, and I think we are looking at Charles' tape very soon.
You are revealing all the tricks of this trade. Let's hear now from Charles Leclerc talking on tape very soon, right now. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Hey, Charles. It just looked like a very lonely race out there. Just talk me through it.
Really lonely. just with Carlos cruising until the end, way too slow for the guys in front, much quicker than the guys behind. So yeah, we just did our strategy, focused on ourselves, tried to maximize our package, which we did, but we are 1 minute behind the leaders. So we need to understand why our up and downs, whenever we are in a down, it seems to be a big one. So we need to look into it in order to be a bit more consistent, even in our bad days.
How disappointing is it to be that far off Red Bull and Mercedes? 1 minute is significant considering you've been so close to them this year.
Well, it's huge. Yeah, but I don't have the explanation yet. At least I believe we were losing quite a lot of time down the straight. Whether this was coming all from it, I doubt. So we need to analyze everything and make a step forward.
All right, thank you.
I'm only one night home.
Charles Leclerc P6 then behind his teammate Carlos Sainz. Both Ferraris struggling this weekend, as Nick has said. And Nick, you have got a flight to catch, so we are going to give you a hall pass. You can go.
Yeah, I can.
Well, yes, on
That's
the
very
condition
kind.
that if I see pictures of you and Forest Soul raving on your Instagram, we're going to have something to talk about. Okay.
It's all right. Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
See you. What's your next race?
I'll see you in Abu Dhabi.
We'll let them just. Bye-bye. Have a safe flight.
Thank you.
See you soon. Well, that's nice. You guys getting on famously. I'm enjoying that a lot.
My little bro.
He's your little bro.
Yeah, we go way back.
Right, let's get to the sharp end then, because of course Sergio Perez was P3, moving up to second in the Drivers' Championship. This is going all Red Bull's way, isn't it, 2022?
Oh yeah, I mean 2022, absolutely. Today, it was looking bad for a minute there, and then you got to think, if Checo hadn't had that slow first stop, maybe he could have been on the he could have been second.
And so uncharacteristic of Red Bull, especially on Checo's side of the, I'm saying on the side of the garage, they all work together, all the mechanics come together, but they have been so fast on the Perez stops.
It's so weird that the same group has continuously and consistently been faster on the 11 car than the 1, but the thing for me is Max had that issue in the States, then Checo had an issue here. It almost makes me wonder if another reason why they didn't want to do another stop was, man, 50% of their stops in the last 2 weeks have had issues. You know, that's not a great number, but no, I mean, the team as a whole is nailing it. It would have been great to have seen that one too, because I think without that stop, Checo would have been second, but you just can't give the Red Bull team enough credit.
But I think Forest Soul, the Mexican crowd, they still got to see their man on the podium. So let's hear from him now. Checo Perez, P3 for him this afternoon.
Checo, how did it feel to be back on the podium in your home race?
It's always nice, to be standing on that such a special podium with in front of the Forest Soul, but I obviously wanted more. I'm a bit disappointed with the result, to be honest, because I felt that we could have finished second. It was a very big opportunity. Mercedes was struggling quite a lot with the hard, especially at the beginning. They had very poor warm-up, but unfortunately we had a bad stop, which put us quite far behind, unfortunately.
So in terms of that, apart from that stop, do you reckon you could have got P2 today?
Yeah, definitely. I think without that, I wouldn't be that far from the Ferraris, and because I ended up losing too much time with the Ferraris as well. So just all in all, it wasn't a great day for us.
All right, thanks, Checo.
What a week, what a weekend for Perez. Such a huge moment for him this weekend, and so much pressure, but actually I think, all things considered, has managed that pressure incredibly well.
Yeah, he really has. If you think back to the problems that he had in qualifying, you talked about those electrical issues. He may have even been right up there on the front row with Max. Without that pit stop, I think he could have been P2. I don't know if he had enough for Max this weekend, but when you think about how strenuous and stressful this week's been for him, he would have been here Sunday night as soon as the Grand Prix in Austin ended, would have been working all week long, media events, PR things, sponsor commitments, whatever it was. And then the crowd here. I mean, we've heard articles, he's seen articles written, heard the drivers talk about how busy it is in the paddock, all the extra people here, all the extra demands on him and his time especially. I think he managed the whole thing incredibly well, and he's got a lot to be proud of tonight.
Absolutely, and that crowd has been phenomenal from pretty much Thursday, I think, when we were here. We were just like, wow, so many people, and it's so great that we'll be coming racing in Mexico for the next few years as well. So Checo's got a lot of that still to come his way. Let's move our focus now to Lewis Hamilton, who potentially could have had the win today. Strategy not going quite the way he wanted, but I think he was very magnanimous in his chat over the radio to Bono. No blame, no worries, just perhaps with hindsight they would have done things a little differently.
Yeah, it's funny when they had that debate with 20-ish laps to go and Hamilton questioning, hey, are we on the right tire? Bono saying, yeah, no, we got this. Then it became clear that was not the case, but at the end of the race, Hamilton was still, hey, great job, great stop, great strategy. And with the information they had at the start of this race, I agree, it was a great strategy. I don't think it played out the way anybody was expecting, Red Bull included. I think Red Bull had to make a call on the fly. And again, we talked about it, I think Daniel Ricciardo was a big part of that decision. And so at the end of the first stint, it really did look like it was going Hamilton and Mercedes' way, just the way the degradation worked. The hards just didn't switch on the way that people wanted them to. They really struggled with them up and down the grid. So I don't want to say it fell into Red Bull's hands. That's certainly not the case. They made a great call on the fly. Mercedes, they were sort of handcuffed at that point. They had made their bed, they had to lie in it, and a bit of a tough break for Hamilton. He was so close 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, so close, but perhaps that is a turning of the tide. Let's hear from Lewis now, speaking after getting out of the car.
Hey Lewis, I know that it's not victory, but you were very much in the fight today. How does that feel?
Yeah, it was a good race. I think naturally we couldn't keep up with these guys. Probably didn't have the strategy maybe quite right today, but nonetheless, to be this close, to have 2 seconds back to back, I'm so proud and so grateful to the team. And I think the race pace was generally quite good. It was just we were just offsetting tires most of the time.
And you're catching them, aren't you? Like genuinely, you're catching Red Bull. And with the last couple of races to go.
Yeah, the last couple of races, the car has really taken a step forward with the upgrade we had in the last race. And yeah, man, I hope that it stays like this for the last couple of races.
Thanks, off. Enjoy Brazil. Cheers.
Thank you.
The exciting thing is now, if Mercedes have started to work their car out a little bit, we head to Brazil, which I know we've got a different type of car this year, but Mercedes, well, Lewis in particular, was electric in Brazil last year with all those penalties to overcome. So could that be, I know we keep on saying it, could that be the race where it all comes together for them?
Look, I think for the last few races, people have been saying it could be this race to get that 16th consecutive season with a win for Lewis, and yes, I think it could be. That said, I mean, the type of circuit, every type of circuit has suited the Red Bull. This one had some unique characteristics that I think shortened that deficit, shrank that deficit from Mercedes to Red Bull. So it's so tough to bet against the Red Bulls at this point, but Mercedes is getting better and better. Honestly, more than anything, this is already getting me excited about 2023 because they're making moves, they're making developments, they're already making their cars so much better. They're going to have more wind tunnel time than Red Bull. They're going to have more. They're going to have more wind tunnel time probably than Ferrari. I don't necessarily agree with Nick on who's going to come out ahead on that battle. So it makes me really excited about what the Mercedes camp's going to bring to the first race next year.
A little amuse-bouche for 2023.
Yes.
Let's hear from Christian Horner now. A great day for him and his team Red Bull after what has been a difficult weekend. Obviously, Max taking the win, Sergio P3. Let's hear what Christian thought of it all.
Christian, what a mesmerizing drive from your world champion today. He had to play it perfectly. The strategy was a tough one to execute, but he did magnificently.
Yeah, look, I mean, both the drivers today did an impeccable job, and Max, first ever driver to lead from Poland, emerged through the first corner in the lead. But he was in control today. I think we got our strategy absolutely right. The soft and the medium was definitely the quicker race today, and again, Checo, after an issue at the pit stop, his recovery, was phenomenal. So to see both our drivers on the podium, was a massive result for us today.
It seemed like Mercedes thought you might pull the guys in for a second stop. Certainly that's what a lot of us in commentary thought might be the strategy. How close was it to being a two-stopper for you today?
In reality, it was nowhere near. The tires that came off for the first stop, we could see, we're in really good shape. So, it was, for us, it was a slam dunk at that point. To be on the medium. I was just surprised that they didn't go long, with George and then go onto a soft at the end because, that was a strange strategy to pick. But we got it right today, and the drivers did their bit, and a phenomenal performance by Max.
I think back to Australia and to how disappointed you guys were, how much of a long shot you thought the championship alone would be this year. Max now has the most wins in a Formula One season in history. An incredible job from the team, but a brilliant job from Max. Tell us how much he's come on and the driver that you have at your disposal now as a world champion.
I think he's just raised it to another level. He's raised the bar so high this year. He's been absolutely phenomenal throughout the season, and to have won, they've broken that record now of 14 victories. 14 victories, is insane in the amount of races. He's still with 2 to go. Plus 2 sprint races, wins, victories on top of that. He's been absolutely outstanding, and I think he deserves all the plaudits that are coming his way. And a drive like today demonstrated again the maturity, the ability that he has to read a race, to look after the tyres and control the race in a very convincing manner.
Very many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, I think that's a happy Christian Horner. He sounded a little tired, Hinch. It's been a busy couple of weeks for the teams, especially with US running straight into here. It's hard work. As you can see, everyone's already packing up, trying to send everything back home. And of course, a little bit of time off. And then again, Brazil straight into Abu Dhabi. So it's a full-on few weeks at the moment for these guys.
Yeah, and it's been an especially stressful weekend, for Red Bull Racing with the announcements coming out. But it's that part of the season. I think everybody up and down pit lane is getting kind of close to that breaking point. It's been a very long season. Like you say, the doubleheader, it's only one weekend off before Brazil and then another doubleheader. So by Abu Dhabi, by the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi, I think everyone's going to be ready for a day off. Certainly Christian Horner, no different than the rest.
Maybe even 2 days off. Who knows?
Well, no, let's not get carried away. This is Formula One. We have to get back to work for 23. Yes.
Let's talk about Max's drive then, because he was complaining about bouncing, shifting, couldn't turn the front left. Like, there was a lot going on for him, and yet there he is, top step of the podium this afternoon.
And how many times have we seen that this year? Things can go wrong for the Red Bull squad and Max in particular, and they just find a way to bounce back. It's so incredible. Getting through that first stint, it really wasn't looking like it was going to be their day. A podium still, which is a bad day for Max Verstappen in 2022, but the way they managed and he managed that last stint, really conserving those tires, taking care of all the parts he had to, managing that gap to Hamilton. I mean, it was masterclass. There's nothing he hasn't had to do to win a race so far this year, and he's executed on every single one of them.
Absolutely.
Super impressive.
So impressive. Even that 1.3 gap he already had pulled by the end of the first lap. I mean, that was probably a sign of things to come. But let's hear from the man himself then, Max Verstappen on the top step of the podium this afternoon in Mexico City.
Number 14, Max, what a hell of a race, hell of a season, really. How does it feel?
Yeah, it was an amazing race again. Probably a little bit better than expected with tyre wear. Once we stayed ahead in turn one, we could look after our tyres. Of course, on the soft, it's always a bit more critical in that first stint, but once we put the medium tyres on, it seemed very competitive.
At that point, early on in that medium stint, did you know or think that you could get to the end of the race?
I think within a few laps, I think it all felt quite stable. So then I thought, okay, this, it's possible to drive it to the end. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks, Max.
Well, the perfect weekend for Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing. Perhaps could have been made a little better if Sergio had been P2, but hey, who's counting? Perhaps they are.
I was going to say every single driver and team out there, but other than that, no, not really.
Just brush over that moot point. Look, we've completed the doubleheader. You have completed the doubleheader, James Hinchcliffe. How have you found it? The last 2 weeks being in the F1 paddock, how different is it to IndyCar? Are you still keen to come back and be with us in Abu Dhabi?
If you'll have me. I'm happy to come back and do it again. It's been a blast. Such a great crew to work with here. And yeah, the atmosphere in these paddocks is just incredible. Having watched the growth of F1, I mean, I've been a fan of this sport my entire life, literally, and to not get to be here and kind of be a part of it's great. A lot of old friends in the paddock, which has been fun, and we've had a couple really interesting races too, which has been made our jobs on this side of it a little more easy.
Absolutely, especially when the championships start to be wrapped up. It's a bit like, oh well, what do we talk about now? And
right.
Here it's just like unroll the scroll. There
right.
are so many things to still talk about. Battles up and down the grid that are going to run until the checkered flag flies in Abu Dhabi, which makes it so exciting. And I think, as you say, tees up 2023 so nicely. Give or take a few drivers we won't have on the grid next year.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? You're looking at not having Sebastian Vettel for the first time in how long in a Formula One race, which I don't know anybody that's happy about it. I'm not sure Seb's even happy about it at this point. He's going to be greatly missed. We don't know what the future holds for Daniel Ricciardo. I know him, his personality, his smile, his passing on track is going to be missed. But we still have 2 races to go before we have to worry about 2023.
We certainly do. Well, it has been brilliant this weekend having you here, and I know the guys loved having you in Austin as well. We will see you again in Abu Dhabi. Of course, we've still got the small matter of the Brazilian Grand Prix to get through, and of course that is a sprint race weekend, so plenty to enjoy at Interlagos. From me and all the team here in the F1 paddock in Mexico City. Right now though, Hinch, it's time to say goodbye, or as they say here,
adios.
Adios. I love how you say it. Adios.